Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. As-salatu was-salamu ala Rasulihil Kareem wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man istana ila yawmiddin. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brothers. Inshallah ta'ala, today we'll start the next part of the Surah Al-Baqarah. Before we start, last week I think we had a quiz, and alhamdulillah, all of the brothers, most of the brothers who took part, they did very well. Although the materials was it's not small materials, it's a large quantity of the study material, and brothers who took part and scored very good results. So may Allah reward you in this world and the hereafter. But one thing just to remember, if you read these things, you take the quiz, and then you leave it like this, you will forget. So at least don't go through the material anymore, but at least if you go through the ayah again, because we should study Quran, we should read Quran, recite Quran every day anyway. So if you recite through those ones, I guarantee you it will take maybe 15-20 minutes just to go through the translation of the ayah, and your head will remind you, okay, this ayah means this ayah means this is what special about this ayah, this is the incident behind, linked with this ayah is linked with that surah, and that hadith is linked with this. So go through this one, and then if you can, do this in between your families, in your friends, and gather some people, and can talk about 1 or 2 ayah or 3 ayah. So this way you will remember. As our Sheikh mentioned in the khutbah yesterday, that we are insan, and insan, the word comes from nasiya. We are very, very forgetful. We forget about our Rabb, forget about the surah and ayah. So sometimes how many people they forget about the Allah, the Deen, and Rasulullah and everything. So we should keep ourselves reminding this way. So inshallah ta'ala, today we'll go from ayah 196 to 208. And these ayahs, there's the easy part of this ayah, that most of these ayahs, you can see the first thing, the Hajj and its rulings are in ayah 196 to 203. So these are the most of the ayah regarding the Hajj. And people who went to Hajj and people who don't know, who didn't went to Hajj yet, still we know the rulings of the Hajj. And these rulings actually not exactly the ruling that we follow, because you have to remember this is Surah Al-Baqarah. It revealed in Medina, and Rasulullah did only one Hajj, and he did the Hajj almost the end of his life, the 10th year of the last Hajj. So these rulings are there still, but there are some other sunnah that Rasulullah showed us that what to do during the Hajj. But these are the basic rulings, and from these basic rulings and from the hadith together, scholars found out the rulings for the Hajj. Different madhab has found the different rulings of the Hajj, and most of them we all know about it. And the few ayahs after that is some qualities of a munafiqun. As we all know that this surah started with the description of 3 kind of people, and 1 kind of people are munafiqun. So we'll talk about that. And the last ayah for today, there's a command for the believers. So we'll look at that one, inshallah ta'ala. So first of all, this 196 ayah is a very big ayah. So I'll just go through the purpose of here. Allah is saying here that the Hajj and Umrah, both of the things you do for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is a very common thing. Everything you do should be for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not to show off to people. And then Allah is saying that because this is the rulings for the people of Medina at that time. Because they're saying if you are surrounded by the enemy when you're going to Hajj, and that's going to happen in Hudaybiyah. In our Sirah class, we already described the battle of Hudaybiyah, what happened there. So same thing. So they went to do Umrah, and people gathered, the Quraysh was surrounding them, the enemy was around them. And that time the Islam is new, and Islam has a lot of enemy. Different tribes are enemy of Islam. So what are you going to do if you're surrounded by the enemy when you're on the Hajj or you're on the path of Umrah? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that you should wait till you sacrifice your animal. If you cannot sacrifice animal, then shave your hair before the sacrifice of the animal. That's the ruling when you do the Hajj and you are surrounded by the enemy. But if you are in a safe place, after that Allah said that if you are injured, if you got an injury in the head, or if you are very, very sick, then what is the fidya for that? As Allah is saying that you can do fasting for 3 days. This is the common rule, or you can do some sadaqah, feed the poor people, or you can you can do the sadaqah, you can feed the poor people. So 3 things, like fasting, you doing feeding the poor people, or doing the sadaqah. And also Allah is saying here that if you are in a safe place now, so when you go to Hajj, like for us, we are safe when you go to Hajj. There's no war, there's no enemy there. At that time Allah is talking about 1 kind of Hajj here, the Hajj Tamattu. Before that, before Islam, there's 4 months for Hajj. Meaning you cannot do Hajj in 4 months, but what Arab used to think that the Shawwal, Julqaidah and Julhajj, these 3 months are the preparation for Hajj, and at the end of Julhajj is the Hajj. That is the ruling before the Islam also. And Rajab, the month of Rajab is only for Umrah. That was the rule before the Islam. So you cannot do Umrah in those 3 months. Umrah is only for Rajab, in the month of Rajab. So that's what it was before that. And Allah is saying no. You can also enjoy a umrah while you are in Hajj, that we do. So this is Hajj Tamattu, that we do Hajj Tamattu. We don't do, there's Hajj Kiran and Ifrad, but Allah is talking, and the word Tamattu is also mentioned here in Arabic, if you read the Arabic. So Allah is saying, look, I have given you a gift. Before to do umrah, you have to wait for Rajab. But now, if you come for Hajj, at the same time, you do a umrah, take a break, take a break for a few days, you put the ihram on, and again you do your Hajj. So Hajj and umrah together. So Allah is mentioning it here. And then Allah is saying that, if you cannot sacrifice an animal, so again the topic of the fidya, that we know that you have to give the fidya, and that kind of fidya, like you can fast for 3 days while you're staying in Makkah, like in 7, 8, and 9 you can fast. 10th you cannot fast because 10th is Eid, and then when you come back home you fast another 7 days, so total 10 days, because then the 10 days of Hajj, so you completed by the fasting if you cannot sacrifice any animal. And then these rulings are not for the local. Allah is saying that people who live in Makkah, their ruling is separate. What Allah basically mentioned here, people in the Makkah, they are already safe there. They cannot return home. Their home probably next to Kaaba. So that's why this is the ruling for people who come far away to do the Hajj. And at the end, Allah is saying, Allah is severe in punishment. Basically, why Allah used this title here, because Allah is saying the ruling of Hajj is very strict, and we do it maybe once a life. For some people, it's only once a life. So you have to follow it very, strictly and properly. Otherwise, Allah will take your hisab, and Allah will be severe at punishment. So imagine that if you are so relaxed about your Hajj, Allah is so severe. People who put the idols inside the Kaaba during the Hajj, how much angry is Allah with them? So that's why Allah mentioned this one here, that Allah is severe in punishment. So these are the few rules for Hajj here. The next ayah is also about the other rules. Allah is saying that Al-Hajju Asharu Ma'lumat, that Allah is saying that Hajj is for 4 months. As before Islam, Allah is saying even now also that this 4 months is the sacred month. And also Allah is saying that there are 3 actions completely prohibited. You already heard this ayah so many times. I'm definitely sure any Hajj lecture you go, they always talk about this ayah, that in Hajj, when you're in ihram, you cannot have any sexual intercourse, and you cannot have any fusuq, any fasiki. Fasiki means any kind of backbiting, any kind of stealing, cheating, all these things. And jidal. Jidal means argument with anybody. You will be tested. There are different kind of patients, different kind of things, but you shouldn't be, argue with someone and, do the jidal. So these 3 things are not allowed in the Hajj. Your Hajj won't be accepted if you are involved in these things. And also Allah is saying that, whatever good you do in Hajj, and whatever bad you take yourself rid from, everything is known to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And a lot of scholars said this ayah means that, if you do something extra in your Hajj, don't tell it to people. Keep it to yourself, because Allah knows everything what you're doing. Some people go to Hajj and come back and say, okay, look, during the time of Medina, I recited the whole Quran. During this I did this, I did this. I give 10 people sadaqah. I feed 100 people in the Hajj. It's all these things. Keep it to yourself. Allah is saying, I know what you're doing. You don't have to tell this, because by saying this, maybe you're losing the reward for this, because it's coming show off to you. Some people think, okay, I'm saying this to encourage others, but at the end, it goes, because we are human beings, it goes to showing off. So it's better, keep it to yourself and to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah is saying at the end, O ulil albab. Ulil albab is a very deep word. Inshallah ta'ala we'll discuss this later when you go to Surah Al-Imran. But just to say that it's one of the meaning of this, a man of pure understanding, or man of understanding. Ulil albab means, because you are in Hajj, so you are already pure yourself. So Allah is addressing you that pure understanding, that man of pure understanding. Ayah number 98, also Allah is saying that during the Hajj time, because you came from so far away, the trading is allowed. So you can ask something from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. By asking means here in dunya that you can do some trades. That time people come to Hajj maybe a month ago, because they are different places. So they have some dates or something that they can sell in Makkah. And Makkah is like a cosmopolitan city at that time. So it's a city of the trading. So you are allowed to do trading during the Hajj time. That's what Allah is saying here. And then Allah is saying the Arafah and Muzdalifah. Allah is saying when you come out from Arafah, then you go to the Muzdalifah. The Masharul Haram means here the Muzdalifah. And do both of these places, you remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as He guided you. Meaning, according to the guidance of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Sunnah of Rasulullah, what you do there. We remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a different way. How different? Because we join our prayers, we have different du'as, we walk through the pathway, and different things that we do. So Allah is saying, the way I guided you, in these 2 places, you remember me at the same way. And then Allah said, the depart from the place where all the people depart. Because, there was a tradition in the Arab, they used to think that, we'll just do tawaf and sa'i, at that time, a long time ago, that should be Hajj is enough. I don't need to go walk to the Arafah because I'm already here. I can go to Arafah anytime. There was a tradition like this in the people of the Makkah at that time. Allah said, no, everybody should go to Arafah. Everybody goes to Muzdalifah. That is the part of the Hajj. And in Al-Hajju Arafah. Without Arafah, there is no Hajj. One of the important word here is that, afdatum. Afdatum means, when you depart. There's a very similar words in Arabic, like turjaun means come return from Arafah. But Allah used this word. This word is interesting word. If you the meaning of this, if you in a bowl, in a pot, if you keep pouring the water and water is filled up, what's going to happen? The water will come out of the pot, and this means afada. And Allah is looking everybody from the top of the seventh heaven from the Arafah. And everybody gathers in Arafah, and during the day they make dua. And once the Maghrib is finished, everybody come out of the Arafah. And it's like a scene very similar to this. This is especially Allah used this word to imagine the same situation, as if Allah is looking from the top, and Allah is seeing that all the people pouring into the Arafah in the morning and coming out of Arafah, just like afdatum. So something like this. In Ayah 200, Allah is saying that when you have completed all these things, your Hajj is done. Now you should remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as your forefathers. What do you mean by forefathers? Basically, Arab has a tradition, as you all know, they used to talk a lot about their forefathers. Like my grandfather was a big warrior. My grandfather was a big tribe leader. That was their talk. Nowadays we don't talk like this. We talk about our dunya. Like, I have a house, my son is a big engineer, my daughter is this, my brother is this, and he's a big leader in my country, or this, and all these things we talk about. We don't talk about forefathers. What Allah is mentioning here, the way we talk about those things, and we got involved in those things. When you talk about ourselves, our parents, our children, our properties, we should be talking about Allah or more after Hajj. Not talk about our own self, talk about the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and everything. And Allah saying there are few people, they go to Hajj only to expiate their sin. So they go to Hajj saying, oh Allah, I did this in my business, please forgive me. So they know the Hajj is a place for only getting the forgiveness. Their intention was wrong. They just went there as if they want to clean their slit and come back and do the same thing again. So this Allah is saying that for these people, they ask only for dunya, so they won't have anything in hereafter. Now the next ayah is a very famous ayah, the ayah number 2, and this is the dua of that we all know from the childhood. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasana wa fil akhirati hasana wa qina azaban nar. And this dua is one of the most misunderstood dua among the Muslims, because people think, okay, this dua means, oh Allah, give me in dunya, so I can ask anything in dunya, and also give me in akhirah. So meaning, I'll be happy here also and happy after that. But actually it's not the meaning exactly like that. Yes, you are allowed to ask anything from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, no problem. But you have to know your intention, and you have to know why you are asking this. The word hasana is change everything here. Hasana means something beautiful. Something beautiful to who? To Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not like a beautiful car or beautiful house. Yes, that could be halal for you, no problem. But for this dua, hasana means, as Allah said in the Quran, that لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةُ الْحُسَنَةِ. For you, the best hasana, the best characteristic in the Rasulullah. So here, Rabbana Atina means, oh Allah, give me in the dunya something, some hasana, some good things that you will like. That should be following according to the Rasulullah. So that I am okay here. I am in the path of you. I am a slave of you. So give me those qualities here, so the hasana. And if I have those qualities here in this dunya, obviously in akhirah, Allah will give me hasana also. In the best thing in akhirah. Hasana means the beautiful things, right? So Allah will give me the beautiful things if I ask the beautiful things here in this dunya. And then Allah said, this kind of people, as I say, ulaika, those people will have a share, what have they earned, meaning they know, Allah is saying, whatever you have done in this dunya by asking this dua, sincerely asking this dua, and you try your best to get those qualities, the hasana inside you, inshallah Allah will give the reward in the akhirah. The next one is here, actually I'm talking about the Mina. Allah is saying that, and remember Allah during the numbered days. Numbered days means like, there's 3 days basically, after the Hajj, I think 11, 12 and 13. And Allah is saying, whoever stay 2 days, there's no sin on them. And whoever stays 3 days also, there's no sin on them. So meaning at that time, you can stay for 2 days, stay for 3 days. Both are allowed, and there's no problem in that at all. But Allah is saying, whoever stay there, make sure you have the taqwa inside you. don't get bored. Some people, they say the Hajj is finished, still has to be Mina and everything. So don't get bored and do something that is, crossing the line. So make sure you have the fear of Allah inside you still at that time. Although your Hajj is finished, and you almost finished, but still have the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that Allah, and also at the end Allah is saying, when you finish these 3 days or 2 days, Allah is telling you, look, don't forget, you will be coming back here. There will be another gathering here, either in this world, or you can come back to the Hajj again, or you will be gathered in that day of judgment. So Allah is saying that don't forget that this kind of gathering, because Hajj is a symbolism of the day of judgment. That we wear the clothes very similar to the clothes that we're gonna be buried in the qabr, and also we are all together. Everything is, we're asking for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as if that we are the end of the world. So this is the thing that Allah is saying here, that you will be gathered again in this world or in the judgment day. Now these 3 ayat, as I said, ayat about some qualities of the munafiqun. Now you may think like, just after Hajj, why Allah bringing back the qualities of the munafiqun? We talk a lot about munafiqun at the beginning of the Surah Al-Baqarah. That Allah gives few examples about them, that they cannot hear, they are deaf, dumb, and blind, all these things we did. But why Allah bringing it here? Because Hajj is a big ritual for Muslims, and also this is a place, this is an activity, this is an action that people do a lot of show off here. And so Allah is saying, this show off can turn into a people like who has these qualities. What are these qualities? Allah is saying that this is a people who talk in front of Rasulullah very sweetly. Like in front of people he talks very sweet, and he has a very good speech. His speech is very, very convincing. He can convince you of anything. And then Allah is saying, but when he go away, his main intention is to make corruption in the land by harming your business. Allah says crops and animals, meaning harming your business. Basically he's an enemy like you, but in front of you he's talking nice. And then Allah is saying also, if you go to him, that person, and you say, brother, fear Allah, what you're doing is not right. At that time his pride will take on him. He will say, what are you talking about? You are showing me fear of Allah? Don't you know I come here to masjid all the time? Don't you know I pray? And you are saying I have to be fear of Allah? So his pride get arrogant of him, and he become very angry. As if you are telling him to fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As if his action were caught. You know that behind the scene he is playing the game, and someone got got him and telling him, advising him, brother, please fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is getting angry on that. His pride taking over him, and Allah is saying sufficient for him is Jahannam. He will be in the Jahannam. And also Allah is saying Jahannam is Bisar Mihad. Mihad means actually like a cradle. The Jahannam will actually grasp him, as if the mother take him, a son in the child in his lap, in her lap, so that the Jahannam will squeeze this guy, and burn him in the hellfire. So this is the quality of that person. And the last thing here is that Allah is in the opposite of these people. So this is the quality of the munafiqun, but the good people, the believer, what he does, he sell himself for anything for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That Allah mentioned in different places, that Allah is kind to his servant, saying that people who sell himself seeking the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then at the end, Allah is giving instruction, Ya ayyuhallazina amanu udkhulu fis silmi kaffa. Now this is a wonderful command from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and only on this ayah you can give probably a 1-hour lecture, but I'm not going to do that, don't worry. So Allah is saying here, oh who you believe. So Allah talking to the Muslim. Allah is saying, enter into the Islam. The silm means here safety and submission. Islam, when you come to Islam, you are safe. Safe from what? Safe from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, safe from the curse of everything, safe for the Jannah. You will go, inshallah, you are on the path of Jannah. So safe, and also submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You believe what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, you follow the rules of Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Allah is saying to the believer, they are already believer, but Allah is still saying, come to Islam and fill up as kaffa. Like in people who know tajweed, there are some called mad. Like we do long ayah, like bima kasabtum or kaffa, right? In Arab people they don't talk like this. It's only for the rulings for the Quran. And it means basically, if I say in English, if I say all the brothers here, see, I say all the brothers, I have given an emphasis to you, right? Or maybe everybody here will go to inshallah to Jannah. So there's a emphasis on this. The same thing I said, kaffata. Kaffata means here that come to the Islam wholeheartedly. And right after this Allah said, don't follow the footsteps of shaitan. And as it means, scholar write so many things about this ayah. The shaitan, what shaitan does, if you come to the Islam, if you do few things of Islam, shaitan has no problem with that. Shaitan just want little bit from you. Maybe I'm praying 5 times, I'm giving zakah, I'm giving all this, but my business is not halal. It's a haram business. Shaitan will say, look, everything is good on you. That's not a problem. Little bit haram business is fine. You go to pray, you learn Quran, you learn Arabic, everything is good. So little bit is not a problem. So that's why Allah is saying, don't follow the footsteps of Shaitan. Because footsteps of Shaitan won't take you completely. Shaitan won't never come to you and say, go and worship an idol, become a Hindu or something. Nobody will ever do that, inshallah ta'ala. Because Shaitan knows that that's not the way of dealing with us. Shaitan knows how to deal with us. He will take us slowly. Some sister, maybe she's following everything and she's following the prayer and hijab and all these things, but she has a rough tongue. She knows how to talk. And we know the hadith from Rasulullah that she said that one of the neighbor lady, she was very good. She prays at night, qiyamul layl, all these things, but she is not good with the neighbors. And Rasulullah said she is in Jahannam only because of this. So we have to be careful. When we come to Islam, try our best to get everything that Islam offers us. All the fard that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says and all the sunnah, we try our best to follow that and stay in this path. So jazakallahu khair. Subhanakallahumma bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.